The Dash, a poem by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of the birth and spoke of the following date with tears, but he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years, for that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth, and now only those who loved them know what little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So I won't read the rest of the poem, but you get the drift here. The dash. It's that point in our lives that comes between the beginning and the end. And this week we experienced a death in our family, not immediate family, but our daughter Kaya's stepdad's dad died this week unexpectedly, and so it's been a roller coaster for this week, and devastating for the family and devastating for Kaya because she was very, very close to grandpa. They lived next door to them. He would pick her up from school all the time, bring her to soccer practice, swim practice, and so they spent a lot of time together, which I'm really glad that they were able to do that. And so on Tuesday, he was in the hospital, and doctor basically said, "Hey man, you only got a couple days." So he requested that Kaya come see him, and so she went and saw him, and it's his opportunity to say goodbye to her, and I thought that was really awesome and something that Kaya needed to experience in her life, experience life and death. And so I'm really glad that he was able to do that. And I'm glad that Kaya was there. I picked her up afterwards, and of course she was devastated and crying. So didn't make me feel great, but we went and bought some ice cream and went home and watched some movies and stuffed our faces with some ice cream and talked about her grandpa and what kind of man he was and how awesome he was. And then the next day, Wednesday, he died. And so, I waited till Kaya was out of school. I told her that her grandpa had passed away. And of course, once again, she's devastated. And so we worked through that. And the next day they had the funeral, and so we went to the funeral, and Kaya did actually end up going to his casket and everything, and seeing him, and of course she immediately was distraught once again, but I think it was good that she said her goodbyes to him. And it's difficult because a child that's 10 years old doesn't really understand life and death that well yet, and so it's very difficult for her. And so we're something that we're having to work through. But at the funeral, the pastor there talked about Raider, the grandpa, talked about his dash, and he's a God-fearing man, great husband, great father, and a wonderful grandpa to our daughter Kaya, which I'm very thankful for. And the guy lived life. He played soccer up until the age of 50, and he was all about soccer. So every time Kai had a soccer game, he was there cheering her on. And so the man definitely lived life. And for this episode, I'd like to just talk about, hey, are you living your dash? What are people going to say at your eulogy, at your funeral? Did you live your life, or are you going to sit on your deathbed and say, man, I wish I'd have done that. I wish I'd done this. Now's the time. If you're alive, make the most of it. I know when my eulogy is read, people are definitely going to say, Pete definitely lived life to the fullest. He accomplished a lot of things in his life, and that's why I want to be remembered, that I went out and lived life. And I think it's a good time for us to reflect on what our priorities are. Priorities should be your family. spend time with them, because you never know. Tomorrow might not come for some of us, and for those of us that it does, make the most of that time and cherish it with your family, and live your dash. I definitely will. I've definitely thought a lot about life in general this week, and so what I can do better as an individual, and as a father and as a husband. So I encourage y'all to do the same. And for those of you that are religious folks, I pray that I ask that you guys pray for the family. Pray for Kaya, pray for her mom, pray for her stepdad. All the family, they're going through a really difficult time. So keep them in your prayers. And next week, you'll be able to see Jordan and myself, not just me. So this was a solo episode. Jordan is spending some much needed time with his wife, watering his grass. So hopefully had fun this week, and we'll see you guys next week. Go live your dash.